Recent data shows that Black professionals have been largely left out of the commercial real estate industry. According to the Urban Land Institute, less than 5% of developers are Black. A recent report by the New York Times finds the ones who do make it into the industry often struggle with gaining access to capital, including loans, loan guarantees, and equity. Ken McIntyre has been working to change this. He is a chief executive officer of the Real Estate Executive Council. That's a trade association for commercial real estate executives of color. And Ken joins me now from New York City. Ken, what a great smile you have. You're making me think that even though we're talking about a really serious issue that has a lot of bad behind it, that you feel optimistic about the future. But let's get into this overarching question. Why are so few Black professionals in the commercial real estate industry?
Well, first I want to say thanks. Thanks for having me. Thanks for asking the question. This is a hot topic these days, and I'm glad to be here to talk about it. And the question about why are there few developers, real estate has a long and storied history in this country, particularly with people of color. But the basic fact is real estate is an industry that is capital intensive, and you need capital to be able to buy the properties. You need debt capital, you need equity capital, and access to capital has just always been a problem for people of color.
Is there more to why it's a problem? I mean, we know about the problems of systemic racism. We know about redlining. We know all of these things. But after George Floyd's death and the Black Lives Matter movement, financial service companies vowed that they were going to start addressing racial inequities within the industry. Have they been making changes that have been successful in benefiting Black developers?
They've made the commitments, they've made the announcements, but change takes time. And I'm to your original point, I am optimistic. I am seeing change happen. I'm feeling change happen. My organization, the Real Estate Executive Council, is starting initiatives to hopefully accelerate the change. But it takes time. And yes, these companies have made these commitments, and they're billions of dollars that they're allocating to, racial inequity. And we're happy to hear the announcements. But it takes time for that to flow from them to developers, to entrepreneurs, and into communities so that we can actually close this wealth gap between Black families and white families that to your point, has been the outgrowth of systemic racism in the history of America.
So, Ken, commitments have been made. And I understand that it does take time. Do you think that in the commitments that have been made, enough has been done specifically to help Black developers, or do you want to see more things being done to make sure that access to capital and that Black professionals are included in the real estate industry, especially given that this is not an easy industry to break into, particularly in New York City? It's a dynasty situation where families pass it down from generation to generation. Is enough being done so far to break through for communities of color?
There's so much change that needs to happen for us to get anywhere near to racial equality and proportionate participation by people of color in the real estate industry. This legacy of, as you said, redlining and other legislation that disenfranchised or did not allow people of color to participate in the real estate industry. It's a true legacy, and it's going to take more than just a few commitments for that change to happen. But again, it can't happen quickly. We are appreciative that large organizations, like you've seen in the headlines, have made multi-billion-dollar commitments. But at the end of the day, they have to be accountable to those commitments, and it's important for the media, for legislators, and for the public to hold them accountable that those dollars flow not back to majority developers because these organizations say they can't find Black developers, but they actually flow to the people that they were intended to, so they can flow into the communities that they were intended to, so we can make change for the communities that have been disenfranchised and underrepresented.
Ken, I think that was wonderfully said, because it is not just that it benefits the individuals, but it also benefits and leads to prosperity for entire communities. Ken McIntyre, thank you.
Thank you for having me.